Hello, this is Chaitanya Jachalla from Software AG. Today I'm going to show you, how you can receive a file, an EDI file via FTP and process it via B2B Cloud, right? So today, as of today, the B2B Cloud doesn't have an FTP inbound channel capability, and although that's coming in the future, it's there in the roadmap. Right now, it's not. So how do we accept files? From an FTP server, right? Create an inbound channel of sorts. So there is a workaround for that. So as you know, B2B cloud and integration cloud go hand in hand. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a small orchestration on integration cloud to pull the file from this FTP server and route it via B2B cloud, right? So with this particular solution, we can still enable all the FTP customers to on-ramp via B2B cloud. So let me just show you how that works in this solution. If you look at the process flow, this it still says the same, except the entry point is actually an integration cloud. So an integration cloud basically, pulls this file from an FTP server and then submits the document to a B2B cloud. B2B cloud recognizes the document, kicks off the processing rule, and then finally kicks off an orchestration on the integration cloud, which really does the job of converting the 850 to a PO XML file, or sending the PO XML file to the backend system and then get the acknowledgement back and send it back to the partner. So as you can see, this is a very familiar process flow for all the B2B guys over there. So all we are doing is just adding this orchestration that you're seeing in the beginning to facilitate the FTP communication. So let me just quickly show you how it works from a solution standpoint. So I think by this time I'm assuming that you already have set up your partner. This is the B2B Cloud landing page. So I'm actually, looking at B2B Cloud here, and I'm going to show you how my profiles look like. So this is my enterprise. I have already configured. So I'm assuming that you already have configured your enterprise, and this is the trading partner Acme, right? So in here, I'm just configuring the doesnt ID and the EDI AS2 ID for all EDI AS2 communications, and my enterprise has its own doesnt ID as well. So here, Acme is my partner, and I am acting as my enterprise here. So I've configured a few partner users who would be coming from outside of the network, who is a trading partner user to submit these documents, right? And then I create a business document. Remember, we are dealing with 850 and 855 in this scenario. So I will go ahead and add a new document saying EDI, X12 and 4010, and then the transaction is 850, right? I'm not going to do any save because I already have one configured here. So I'm going to pick my EDI purchase order and then save, right? Once I do this, a document type gets created in Integration Cloud, which we will use in the mapping exercises, right? So I'm not going to save here. I'm just going to cancel. In a similar fashion, you're going to do the same thing with 855 as well, right? Once a document has been created, now we have to create a processing rule. A processing rule is basically telling you that, okay, here is my sender, here is my receiver, and my sender in this scenario is Acme, and my receiver is enterprise, and my sender is sending me a 4010 850, and all I need to do is, if I want to do any pre-processing, I can check for duplicacy, I can persist the document or defer to the business document, right? So I can have multiple criteria here. What I'm really doing is I'm actually kicking off an integration, and if I want to deliver the document using the receiver's preferred outboard channel, I'll also check this option as well, right? So so I have a processing rule created, which is called process inbound 850 and map. So, and then the B2B cloud receives the file, which is being submitted from integration cloud, and then finally processes it, and then does whatever it needs to be done, right? So here is a quick tutorial to show how an integration looks like. So this is the integration I'm showing you right now on how you can actually use an FTP, use integration cloud as an FTP client using the FTP protocol. you can actually get a file, right? So all I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my applications and then say FTP, and then I can simply drag drop. I'm not going to do that, and then once I drag drop that, I'm going to select my operation as a get file. Right now I'm getting a file here, right? So I'm going to click here, say okay, and then if I go here, I'm just going to send inbound file name and the transfer type and all that stuff, right? So, and once I'm converting that to string, then I'm going to add my EDI envelope here. So the similar fashion, I'm going to say EDI, drag drop my application. Again, I'm going to do that and then add the envelope, right? So if I look here, I'm adding an envelope. So all I'm doing is I'm just converting the file as a string and passing it as an EDI message because I already know it is an EDI string. If I click on the document type, it is of type X12. If you look at the functional identity code, it's a PO. And configure the sender. We know that the sender is a doesnt ID, which is what I have right now, and the receiver is my enterprise, which is what I have right now, right? So make sure you select your version code. In this scenario, it's 4010, and then you're ready to go on to the next step, right? So next, and then so you can say finish. And in a similar fashion, I need to add the interchange envelope, right? So so automatically all the mappings are the pre-mappings that is already there in the pipeline are mapped for you in the dotted lines, right? All you need to do is just simply map the EDI message to the EDI messages and simply map the version code, right? And then click next, and then you can say cancel, right? Or finish. Since I already have it saved, I'm not actually doing a finish, right? So finally, you are prepared your document to be able to submit to webMethods B2B Cloud, right? So now I go to my applications and say B2B, and again I drag drop here, and then finally use my B2B submit, right? So I create an account here. Obviously, when I don't have one, I have to create a B2B account, and there are the different operations that I can use. In this scenario, I'm interested in submitting this EDI message to B2B Cloud for further processing. So once that is done, I'm gonna save, and then I'm gonna come out, right? So and in a similar fashion, now let me show you how I'm actually creating an integration basically to process this document. So the best thing that you could do is we have something called recipes, so that you can actually start with the recipe. So I say type EDI, say EDI, and then you can either use or preview. So when I say use, I choose my project, I'll say B2B demo, and then it is asking you for the account names, right? So I'm going to select my B2B account for this application. In the same here, for the file transfer, I need to create an account. Right now, I already have an existing account, but let's create a new account and then add, right? So I'll just show you how the create new account looks like. So all you need is a name and the description, and then your host name of your FTP server, which is accessible from webmethods.io, and then a port number and the username and a password. I already have that configured, so I'm going to use that. And I'm going to use the same account for putting the file as well, right? So so now when you create next, then it will actually create a template for you, and then you can go ahead and simply change it, right? So let me show you how that file, how that integration looks like. So once I use the recipe, it actually downloads the recipe for me. I can actually go here and then add or change values or change my mappings here. So this recipe is available for everybody to use. So this is like a starter thing, we're gonna give our recipe, then if you can add your own details to this recipe, then you can, right? So you'll be seeing more recipes from the R&D development team in the future, but we felt that this is a very good recipe to start with when you are trying to onboard your trading partners who are actually sending EDI files. So I would recommend going to this recipe. I'm not going to go through each and every item in this list, but what really doing is it's basically receiving the document from B2B Cloud. If you remember, I'm using the processing rule in the action. I'm actually calling this particular integration. as part of the processing rule. So it's receiving the file here, it's doing some processing, it's doing some transformation, maybe mapping it to an XML here, right? And then putting that file on an FTP server. The assumption is, the file is getting picked up by a backend server, which is doing further processing and is placing the file in a location where it's placing a 997 or an 855, right? In a location where we are again going there and picking up the file and finally, submitting it back to the B2B cloud to be sent it to the partner, right? So in this scenario, until this step, we are actually, it's an inbound processing, and from here and all, it's all outbound processing. Again, there is no hard and fast rule that you have to follow the same steps. You can easily break it down, this integration into different steps. Again, this is just a starting point for you guys out there who are B2B developers who just want to, parse and transform an EDI file. So once this is done, then all you need to do is you have to enable this, as integration to be invoked via HTTP. And then all you need to do is just simply, use this URL to, go to the actions and then paste that URL in the integration here, right? So you're just going to paste the URL in the integration, and then you're all set to go. So this is very simple, and in my tutorial, steps, you'll actually see how I have configured each and everything. So this is just a high-level overview of of the solution, right? So now let's do some testing, right? What I'm doing here is I have actually placed my EDI file here. So it is you remember, this is my partner. I'm using Integration Cloud to run that, and then let's say if I go here and then if I run my integration, it's basically picking up my files. I'm just saying that, okay, run now. I can create my inbound file here, right? And then if I go here, I will actually see that it's creating the 850 XML here. It's putting the 850 XML file here and the 855 XML file here. And if I go look at my transactions, I can actually see the transactions on B2B Cloud as well. Yeah, so if I go to monitoring, and then if I look at my transactions, I'll see that all my transactions are listed here. So, my, Acme is sending the file to my enterprise. And then if you look here, my enterprise is basically sending the back to Acme, right? So sending the 855 back. So this is the 850 coming in, and then 855 going back. So if you trace, so this is the first of the transaction. This is the 850 coming in, and this is the 850 going back. 855 going back. I apologize. So so that's how you send and parse and monitor your transactions in B2B Cloud. Hopefully this was a helpful video. You can hit us up if you have any more questions.